Welcome back to the Master of Mirrors. Tonight's reflection is cracked, twisted, and terrifying. If you are ready to face the truth, dim the lights. Let's gaze into the abyss together.
Title: It started with a missed coffee order. Now I'm hiding in the ceiling tiles of the 4th floor. I'm typing this on an old ThinkPad I found stashed behind a stack of insulation rolls. The battery is at 14%, and I don't know if the Wi-Fi will hold out long enough to post this. If you're reading this, please, for the love of God, don't ignore your coworkers. Don't look past the quiet guy in the cubicle. Acknowledge them. Look them in the eye. Because if you stop seeing us, the building stops seeing us, and the building is hungry. I work, or used to work, in mid-level logistics for a company I won't name, but you know the type. Fluorescent lights that hum at a frequency designed to induce anxiety, gray carpets that smell like ozone and despair, an open-plan office that promises collaboration but delivers surveillance. I'm a distinctively average guy. 34 years old, beige khakis, blue button-down, receding hairline. I'm the guy you nod to at the water cooler, but whose name you forget 3 seconds later. I was fine with that. I liked the anonymity. I liked coasting. It started 2 weeks ago, on Tuesday. It was Bagel Day. Sarah from HR always brings in a box of Panera bagels. There were 12 people on my team. She brought 12 bagels. I waited my turn, smiling politely as Greg from sales took the last poppy seed. When I stepped up to the box, it was empty. "Oh," Sarah said, looking right through my shoulder at the wall behind me. "I guess I miscounted. Sorry, everyone. I'll bring more next time." "I didn't get one," I said. She didn't blink. She didn't pause. She turned on her heel and walked back to her office, humming. "Sarah," I called out. Nothing. I looked around. Greg was chewing with his mouth open. Linda was typing. No one looked at me. It felt rude, sure, but not paranormal. I figured I'd just been snubbed. I went back to my desk, sat down, and opened my email. My login failed. Incorrect password. I sighed, picked up the phone, and dialed IT. "Hello, IT support, this is Kevin." "Hey, Kevin, it's Mark in logistics. I'm locked out." "Hello?" Kevin said. "Hey, Kevin, Mark, can you hear me?" "Hello, is anyone there?" Kevin's voice sounded bored. I heard him typing. Dead air. Weird. Click. I stared at the receiver. I tried again. Same result. I stood up and walked over to Linda's desk. Linda is the team gossip. She notices everything. If you wear a new tie, Linda comments on it. "Linda," I said, waving my hand, "my phone is acting up." She kept typing. Her eyes were locked on a spreadsheet. I leaned in closer. "Linda!" I waved my hand in front of her face. Not a flicker. Her pupils didn't dilate. She didn't flinch. It was like I was a pane of glass. Panic, cold and sharp, started to prickle at the base of my neck. I reached out and tapped her shoulder. My finger made contact. I felt the cheap polyester of her blouse, but she didn't feel me. She just shivered, rubbed her arm, and muttered, "Damn, AC is freezing today," before pulling her cardigan tighter. I stumbled back. I looked around the office. 30 people, phones ringing, keyboards clacking, low conversations about weekend plans, and I was standing in the middle of it, screaming. I screamed until my throat was raw. I knocked a stapler off a desk. It hit the floor with a loud clack. 2 people looked up, not at me. They looked at the stapler. "Must have fallen. Drafty in here," one said. "Drafty in here," the other replied. That was day 1. By day 4, the physics of my existence began to degrade. The automatic doors at the lobby entrance wouldn't open for me. I had to wait for someone else to enter or leave and slip through the gap. The elevator sensors ignored me. I had to piggyback on crowded rides, squeezed into corners. I stopped going home on day 5. I tried, I really did. I walked out to the car parking, got in my Honda, and drove to the exit. The boom barrier wouldn't lift. My key card scanned. The light turned red. Invalid user. I tried to ram it. The car stalled. The engine died and wouldn't turn over. It was like the machine itself had realized I wasn't supposed to be operating it. I got out and walked to the street. I stood on the sidewalk watching the city traffic. I stepped off the curb to hail a taxi. A bus didn't swerve. It didn't honk. It rushed toward me. I threw myself backward at the last second. The wind of its passing nearly knocked me over. The driver hadn't even tapped the brakes. I realized then that if I left the building's perimeter, the office ecosystem, I wouldn't just be ignored, I would be roadkill. The world outside had calibrated to a reality where Mark from logistics did not exist.
So I went back inside. I hid in the break room pantry that night, eating snack-sized bags of pretzels and drinking tap water. The nights are different here. When the employees leave, the building changes. The hum of the lights gets louder, dropping an octave into a guttural, mechanical growl. The air conditioning stops blowing cold air and starts blowing something that smells like ozone and copper. On day 7, I met Gary. I was scavenging for food in the marketing department. They always have the good catering leftovers when I heard a noise under a desk. A wet, chewing sound. I froze. Hello? A head popped up. A man, pale as photocopy paper, with wild gray hair and clothes that looked like they were from the mid-90s. He was clutching a half-eaten turkey wrap. He looked at me. His eyes went wide. "You can see me?" he whispered. Yes, I can see you." He scrambled out, grabbing my arm. His grip was surprisingly strong. "Quiet, not so loud. The optimization team is doing their rounds." "The who?" "Shh." He dragged me under the desk. Gary, it turned out, had been an accountant. In 1998, he'd been downsized nearly 30 years ago, but nobody had told him. They just stopped processing his payroll, stopped answering his emails, and eventually stopped seeing him. "It's the efficiency algorithm," Gary whispered, his eyes darting around the dark office. "The company wants to trim the fat, but firing people is expensive. Severance, unemployment, legal risks. It's easier to just archive them." "Archive? Delete the user," Gary said, "but the file still takes up space. That's us. We're corrupted data, and at night the system runs the defrag." I thought he was crazy. Isolation, psychosis. But then I heard it. It sounded like a floor buffer, but heavier. Thump, whir, thump, whir. It was coming from the hallway. "Don't look," Gary hissed. I looked. It wasn't a machine. It was a suit, a charcoal gray 3-piece suit, but there was no person inside it. It was filled with a swirling, vanta-black void. The sleeves were too long, dragging on the floor, ending in hands made of tangled fiber optic cables. It didn't have a head, just a smooth, fleshy stump where a neck should be, branded with the company logo. It was sliding along the carpet, the cable fingers twitching, feeling the desks. "It smells productivity. It smells wasted resources." The thing paused at a cubicle, Jennifer's desk. Jennifer had been late 3 times this week. The suit leaned over, the cable fingers splaying out over her keyboard. It typed something, fast, inhumanly fast. Then it produced a small silver canister from its pocket, sprayed a mist over the chair, and moved on. "What did it do?" I asked. "Reformatting," Gary said. "Jennifer won't come in tomorrow, or she will, but she'll be different, more streamlined. And if it finds us?" Gary looked at me, his eyes filled with a terrifying sorrow. "We aren't employees anymore, Mark. We're clutter. It doesn't reformat clutter. It incinerates it."
That was a week ago. Gary is gone. We were moving between floors, trying to get to the server room. Gary had a theory that if we could access the HR mainframe and manually reactivate our active status, the spell would break. People would see us again. The doors would open. We were in the stairwell between the 8th and 9th floors. The lights flickered. The heavy, metallic smell of copper filled the air. 2 of the suits were waiting on the landing. They didn't have faces, but I could feel them looking at us. "Run!" Gary screamed. He threw a fire extinguisher at them. It passed right through the first suit like it was smoke, clattering uselessly against the wall. The suit didn't even flinch. It just extended an arm. The arm stretched. It elongated, the fabric tearing as the fiber optic cables shot out like tentacles. They wrapped around Gary's ankle. He didn't scream. He didn't have time. He was yanked downward, not down the stairs, but into the stairs. The concrete seemed to turn to liquid tar. He sank into the architecture of the building. The last thing I saw was his face, sinking into the step, his mouth open in a silent plea, before the concrete hardened again. I ran up. I ran until my lungs burned. I scrambled into the drop ceiling of the 4th floor men's room and crawled over the tiles until I found this spot above the break room. I've been watching from the vents for 3 days. I see my team. They look tired. Linda looks gray. She types faster now. She doesn't gossip. She doesn't take lunch breaks. Yesterday, I saw them clearing out my desk. A guy from facilities came with a box. He dumped my framed photo of my dog, my stress ball, and my lucky mug into the trash bin. He didn't pack it. He trashed it. Then a new guy sat down, young, eager. "Hi, everyone. I'm the new logistics lead," he said. "Welcome," Linda said, without looking away from her screen. Here is the part that scares me the most, the part that made me risk turning on this laptop. I'm starting to fade. I looked at my hand this morning. I could see the grain of the ceiling tile through my palm. My hunger pains are gone. I don't feel the need to sleep. I am becoming part of the building's cache. But I found something on this laptop. It was connected to the local intranet. I managed to access the hidden directory Gary told me about. It's a folder simply labeled HR Legacy Archives. It's not a list of files. It's a live feed. Cameras everywhere. Inside the walls, inside the ventilation shafts, inside the elevator mechanisms. I see them, hundreds of them, men and women in tattered business casual, huddled in the crawl spaces, trapped between the drywall, their bodies slowly becoming translucent, their skin turning into insulation, their veins turning into wiring. They are the structural integrity of this place. The company literally runs on the blood and souls of those it consumed. And I saw Gary. He's not dead. He's part of the plumbing now. I saw his face pressed against the translucent plastic of a water cooler tank on the 12th floor. His mouth was open, bubbles rising from his lips. When people get water, they are drinking him. I hear the thump whir coming closer. The ceiling tiles are vibrating. They know I'm here. I'm taking up bandwidth. I'm going to try to make a run for the roof. Maybe if I jump, the gravity of the outside world will remember me. Maybe hitting the pavement is better than becoming a patch of drywall in Conference Room B. If you work in an office, listen to me. If you drop a pen and no one watches it fall, pick it up immediately. If your ID card takes 2 tries to work, go to security immediately and demand a new one. And if you see a coworker standing alone in the hallway, staring blankly, say hello. Please acknowledge us, because I can see the fiber optic fingers curling around the edge of the ceiling tile behind me. and I don't want to be. Update. Hello, team. Disregard the previous post. It appears a disgruntled former employee gained unauthorized access to our network credentials. We apologize for the spam. We pride ourselves on a collaborative and efficient work environment. We value every member of our family. Please return to your duties. Productivity is monitoring. End of transmission. Edit. This is OP. I don't have much time. That wasn't me. I didn't write that update. The laptop just typed it itself while I watched. They're inside the room, not the suits, the building. The walls are sweating. The carpet is grabbing my ankles. I'm going to jump. I have to jump. If you find a ThinkPad in the ceiling of the 4th floor, don't open it. Just run. Goodbye. Thread locked by moderators.
The story may be over, but the reflection remains. If you survived this tale, leave a like to ward off the bad luck. To gaze further into the abyss, make sure you subscribe to the Master of Mirrors and ring the bell. You never know what might be standing behind you in the next video. Watch your back.